promise that the testimony you will state in this case before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
State your name for the court, please.
Dr. Irma Block.
You may be seated.
What is your relationship to Ms. Daniels?
Professional. I work as a child psychologist, and I was recommended to Ms. Daniels for assistance with her case.
And what are you doing to assist her?
I have been assessing the mental and physical impacts of her and Mr. Lawrence's relationship on their 3 shared children, including the divorce and the abuse.
Objection! Insinuation!
Your Honor, we're here to determine the best interests of these children.
Overruled.
What were your findings, Dr. Block?
My findings are that the children's mental health and familial relationships continue to be negatively affected by the verbally and physically abusive behaviors exhibited by Mr. Lawrence. Thus, Mr. Lawrence poses a threat to the children if shared custody were to remain.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Counsel may cross-examine.
Dr. Block, what expertise do you have to come to those conclusions about my client, Mr. Lawrence?
I'm sorry?
You're a child psychologist, correct? You analyze the children, not adults.
Yes, but if a child is impacted by adult behaviors, such as abuse, it is imperative for the child psychologist to impart their professional findings. This is about prioritizing the children's safety.
Of course. Are you a mother?
Yes?
Is that a question? Are you uncertain?
I don't see the relevance.
I think you agree with me, Dr. Block, that when you evaluated these children, you did it through the eyes of a mother, the eyes of a woman.
That's enough. Rephrase the question or move on.
Please, Dr. Block, can you impart your experience, if any, involving cases of child custody?
Losing a child is the most traumatic and worst tragedy that can happen to a parent. And the only people who understand its meaning are people who have been through it.
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance.
Overruled. Please, continue.
Others do everything in their power to protect their children. It's maternal. As a mother, I too fought for custody of my 13-year-old daughter in court, making attempts to either eliminate or limit his visitation rights at the advice of consulted psychiatrists. Judges and lawyers blatantly ignored this expert advice, thus shared custody was sustained.
Objection, Your Honor.
On May 31st, 1977, my former husband waited until my daughter, Rebecca Ann Beck, had fallen asleep. He put the barrel of a .25 caliber automatic to her head and pulled the trigger. His body, a bullet hole in his head, was found beside her. I found the bodies. I discovered that my former husband had murdered our only child and then killed himself. If the judges and lawyers involved in our case had taken time, had compassion, and had not put me in such an untenable situation, my daughter would still be alive today. Your Honor, I tell this personal story for Ms. Daniels. It is her and my fear that Mr. Lawrence may harm her children. He may love them and show them kindness one day, but the next, he may decide to take their lives as an act of revenge against her, as my husband did to me. It is my professional recommendation that Miss Daniels be granted full custody of her children, and that Mr. Lawrence's visitation rights be stripped from him. I hope that my recommendation is heard, honored, so that others can learn from my daughter's death.
Your response.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, Dr. Block, for your testimony. You may step down.